Yo guys, what is up? It's Pete from PTV and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a brand new Pyromancer build video for y'all. Today's build is what's widely considered on YouTube and circulating through Reddit as the Pyromancer meta to clear solo challenge tier expeditions. If you're looking forward to this type of video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment down below. If you're already running this build, what do you think about it? After you've seen the rest of the build, are you willing to run it? And do you think there's another Pyromancer build that is better right now? That said, I want to just jump right into it. We're going to be starting with the skills. Now, as this is an Akari set build, we're going to definitely need Heat Wave. Heat Wave is there to make sure that every enemy that we damage increases our anomaly power by a substantial bit. Overheat is going to act as our primary damage dealer thanks to a couple of tier 3 mods that we will soon go through. And Ash Blast is also going to make sure that we are proccing this to do even more damage with overheat, and you will see that through some of the mods that we've selected in our gear. But before we get to the equipment and the mods, let's go through this class tree right here. Make sure we're all on the same page. Now, when you take a look at this, it is obviously a Tempest tree, and it's going to look weird because we've got a couple one-offs over here, and obviously we don't need weapon damage for this build, but to get to Marble Orchard, we've selected that, and that's going to reduce the Immobilize skills cooldown, which is going to help us with our Ash skill, which is the one that we're struggling with as of right now. Our Overheat is going to be on 4.8 cooldown, and our Heat Wave on 8.3, while our Ash struggles at 14.6. So we want to make sure that that one is ticked. We want to make sure that our Ash is much lower than this. As of right now, our gear is not optimized for cooldowns, and so we're just having to deal with it, but it is still working for us as it stands. Going down to the Tempest tree, I'm not going to talk over every single node, but the important bits we will go over, the first one being Wildfire. Obviously, decreasing your skill cooldowns, like we just talked about, is very important. Don't need to say anything more about that. Extinction, also great, especially with Pyromancer builds that struggle with one-on-ones against the spongier elites. Anytime we're able to do more damage, even against enemies whose health dropped to a certain point, that is also very beneficial. We're also going to want to pick up with Fire and Anomaly. Activating explosive skills increases your anomaly power by 12%. Anomaly builds should have opportunities for more anomaly power, so that just makes sense. Because this build is a tad bit squishier, we are not running defensive mods, as you will see very soon. Phoenix Nestling is an optimal choice, given that it gives us a second chance every 3 minutes. If we do kind of mess ups, our fingers slip off the controller, whatever it is, we're going to get resurrected. Then we'll go through the rest of the Tempest build. Flames that burn twice for more elite damage, another cooldown, and of course, increase explosive skills base damage by 30%. Now, heading over into our inventory, and this is the important part. Before I get into exactly what everything is and what everything does, I will tell you, I do not have some of the equipment that is 100% optimal for the build. The gameplay that you will see on the screen is the current build that I'm running. So it's very clear that it is still clearing out CT15 without any kinds of problems, right? We are making the most of what we have, but I will also include not only what I'm running currently, but what you should be looking for if you're trying to optimize this build. Now, the ideal weapons in this situation are more than likely Death Shield, as its tier 3 mod Fortress is pretty much the best in slot for any anomaly powered build, right? That 40% extra damage, which we are not running with currently, is definitely best in slot, and you can't really beat it. Funeral Pyre is a fantastic option for a secondary gun. As it stands right now, though, we are running the Anemoy, which is an automatic shotgun that gives us Moaning Winds, which is also a very good tier 3 mod that, you know, circulates wind, dealing almost 400,000 damage every 8 seconds. We've combined this with Shadow Comet, so when we do shoot once, we hit the Shadow Comet, and then we reload, causing Moaning Winds to activate. Then we immediately switch to our second weapon, which again is not ideal, but it is pretty good. The Imploder, which we've also thrown Shadow Comet on, and we will continue during our skill cooldowns. That's very important during gameplay. Our skill cooldowns, we're going to be switching back and forth between our weapons to make sure we are proccing Shadow Comet and Moaning Winds as much as possible. Moving over to the equipment, to your gear, like I said, this is an Akari set. Now, I will say this, the God roll attributes that you're looking for before we get into the rest of the gear. Obviously, anomaly power, that's going to be a huge one. We mentioned cooldown reduction, which is also huge. Status power sneaks in as the top 3 God roll attribute, but we've also seen skills life leech kind of, depending on how squishier you're feeling, kind of make an appearance. Obviously, that's kind of like a close 4. You're definitely going to want to aim for anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and status power first, but if you get something with skills life leech, it is not the end of the world. It's actually not too bad. It's just, you know, just out of the top 3. Now, as far as the Akari set goes, I've seen some people replace the helmet for the boots just because of those attributes that we talked about. The boots are rolled much better than the helmet, but this is what I have for the moment, and I've seen some arguments made for the helmet anyway, so here's what we're going to rock with. It's got anomaly power, skills life leech, and status power, and it comes with the tier 3 mod Heat Wave, which increases the width of the firewall. Now, when we're trying to hit enemies to make sure that we're increasing our anomaly damage, obviously the width of the firewall is super important. The tier 1 mod that we've put on it is Burnt Out. Heat Wave damage. Enemies take 25% more damage for 8 seconds. Obviously, that goes without saying, more damage, more better. On to the next one. Armor of the Akari. There is no debate about this one, even though it only comes with 2 of the 3 preferred attributes. Armor of the Akari is still the best in slot for this build. We're going to make sure we're rocking the tier 3 mod Detonator, which comes on the armor itself. It's an overheat mod that decreases the skill's cooldown by 50%. So if you're wondering why we only have a 4.6 second cooldown for our overheat, that is a big reason why. Our tier 1 mod that we've put on it is called Ride the Wave. It's Heat Wave mod that allows us to activate it one more time. Moving on to the pants, which is, again, no debate, best in slot for the Akari set. This is going to give us 2 of the 3 attributes that we're looking for: anomaly power, skills life leech, and cooldown reduction. The tier 3 mod that it comes with is called Anomaly Echo, and that's going to give us 100% uptime on 11.5k anomaly power. Obviously, this is scaled towards level 50, so if you get them at a lower level, that number is going to be different, but maximized, we're looking at 11.5 thousand anomaly power. Skill activation for 15 seconds, but because we have skills as low as 4.6 seconds, that's going to be 100% uptime. Very nice. The tier 3 mod that we've decided to put on it as a secondary mod is called Master Consumer. This is going to be the bit that makes our overheat deal the most damage as possible. This skill consumes either burn or ash status to deal damage. Consuming both at once increases the damage by 150%. As you can see, that is why we need Ash Blast, and we're going to make sure the rotation goes Heat Wave, Ash Blast in a central area of where most of the ads are, and then we hit Overheat once all that stuff is prepped and ready to pull the trigger. That is going to be dealing most of the damage for us. Move on to the gloves, and I am running Gauntlets of the Cannonball. This is not even close to what I would consider optimal, as it has bonus firepower and not anomaly power. This, you could argue, sucks. I don't want to hear it in the comment section. I know it's not optimal. I definitely need to do some green glove farming to make sure that I can replace this ASAP, but the mods on it are exactly what we're looking for. Captain Hunter, which increases our damage against elites by 25%. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, the one-on-one versus the spongier elites is going to be a little bit of a struggle for this build. 25% more damage to elites is going to help with that immensely. The tier 1 mod, Pants on Fire, is an overheat mod that we've thrown on here that does additional damage to enemies who did not have their statuses consumed. So it turns out if we don't hit you with pretty much the one-hit killer, which is the procced overheat tier 3 mod Master Consumer, then we are going to deal an additional almost 50k damage to those who do not get hit. All right, and these boots, the foot gear of the Cannonball is what we're running, and again, I know these are not great, so not great that I know someone's going to say it in the comment section, even though I'm politely asking you not to. We are getting 2 of the 3 statuses that we're looking for, the attributes that we're looking for with anomaly power or cooldown reduction. The tier 3 mod, Ready for Anything, actually is not good at all. It's not proccing because we're not doing lots of shooting with our guns, therefore not doing crit hits, not getting the crit damage, and not getting the health returned back to us. That is going to be replaced soon by a tier 3 mod, once we find it, called Ashen Champion. It works essentially the same way that the Heat Wave mod does. That allows us to hit enemies, and every enemy hit gives us a substantial boost in anomaly power. Okay, so we want to make sure we're stacking Ashen Champion on top of the Heat Wave mods that allow us lots and lots of anomaly power. The tier 1 mod that we've thrown on the boots is called Ash Increase Range. That one's pretty self-explanatory if you're not connecting the dots. That is because we want to increase the range at which Ash Blast happens to make sure that we can proc many, many more enemies than what we could do if the range was reduced, to make sure that our overheat kills as many enemies as possible. Now, the rotation of skills I might have previously mentioned, but we're going to go clear cut right here. We're going to hit Heat Wave twice to make sure that we're hitting as many enemies as possible to get that base anomaly power up as high as possible. And we want to run to a more central location to where we can proc as many enemies as possible. We can get them within the range of Ash Blast and hit that, make sure they are nice and procced, and then hit Overheat. Overheat is going to almost clear out all the rooms that you're going to see. It clears out ads pretty easily, and like I said, elites are going to take a little bit more time, but having the ads gone is really going to help us. Now, while Ashen Blast and Overheat are on our cooldowns, we're going to be making sure that we are shooting our weapons and reloading the enemy so that our Shadow Comet hits enemies, our Moaning Winds is activated, switching weapons to make sure we can proc Shadow Comet as much as possible by hitting enemies until our cooldowns are active again, and then starting that cycle all over, wash, rinse, repeat, so on, okay? If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like the video, comment down below if you think this build is the meta without excuse, or if you think there are builds for the Pyromancer that are better. Please comment that down below. Also, consider subscribing. I'm hoping to have earned your subscription with lots of Pyromancer build videos and lots of Outriders videos just like this. Again, we are very close to getting partnered, and I cannot tell you how excited I am for it, and I appreciate all the support up to this point. That said, thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one, man. Peace.